My mother-in-law, Laura, is a part-time massage therapist who is retired. She has regular clients and doesn't take just anyone. It got to the point where I pulled my back at work. I couldn't bend or straighten out. My wife, Emily, tried everything, but nothing worked. She rubbed ointments, but still no results. Finally, Emily suggested, "Let your mom help you. She knows what she's doing." The thing is, my relationship with Laura is not the best. She's the kind of woman who is strict about keeping order, always keeping the household perfect, and often hints that I could be more ambitious and make more money. Emily always brushes it off by saying, "Mom, stay out of our business." So I wasn't thrilled to meet Laura, but I had no other choice. My back was hurting badly and there was no other choice. I pulled up to her house and knocked on the massive wooden door. Laura opened it. "Lie down on the massage table," she said without further ado. "Take off your clothes," she added. I asked, a little embarrassed, "You mean my pants too?" "Yes, take off your pants," Laura ordered, clearly not bothered by my indecision. Nervously, I pulled down my pants and lay down on the table, but on my back instead of my stomach, making me feel like a complete idiot. Without further comment, Laura grabbed my underpants and pulled them down, mumbling something about no time to waste. I obediently took them off, and she gestured for me to lie face down correctly this time. She began rubbing my back. Her hands were surprisingly strong and professional. As she worked every muscle, I thought, she really knows what she's doing. From that moment on, something changed between us. During the massage, Laura took off her blouse as it was getting hot and was left in just her bra and panties. My eyes widened. I hadn't expected that. She kept working. Her attention was unwavering. Eventually, she told me to roll over onto my back. I did as she asked, and she gave me a knowing look. "You're in pretty good shape," she said with a smirk. The first time she'd ever joked with me. At that moment, a rush of courage swept over me, and I impulsively reached for her. She froze, clearly taken aback, but I was already seized by the moment, and to my surprise, she responded. The thought of fixing my back suddenly seemed secondary, and strangely enough, by the end of the session, my back actually felt better. Laura was a master of her craft, and not only that. We sat down at the table to catch our breath, and she looked at me with a different expression on her face, one that lacked the usual criticism. The roles between us had somehow reversed. I felt like the master of the situation. If someone had told me earlier that I would end up here, I would have thought they had lost their mind. "One session won't be enough," Laura said thoughtfully. "How long do I have to keep coming?" I asked with a reassuring smile. "At least a week," she explained, smiling broadly. I nodded, thanked her for the session, and headed home. My gait became much lighter and my back pain was almost gone. When I got home, Emily asked, "Did Mom fix you?" I nodded. "She's a true professional," Emily added proudly. The next day, at the appointed time, I returned for another session. Emily didn't ask many questions, assuming it was just part of the treatment plan. Laura greeted me much more cordially this time. "Would you like some lemonade?" she offered, pulling 2 cups from the cupboard. I agreed, and we each had a cup, after which I lay back on the couch, feeling more relaxed than before. Laura started working on my back again, her hands firm and confident. I noticed her differently this time, the way her slender figure moved, how strong she was despite her diminutive stature. I rolled over again, a little too eagerly, nearly toppling the couch in the process. We both laughed, and soon the line between a professional massage and something more blurred again. Afterward, I had another glass of lemonade to head home. Laura reminded me, "There are still 5 more sessions left." "How could I forget?" I replied. "Wake me up in the middle of the night and I'll still come running." And it was true. I was hooked not only on the relief it brought to my back, but also on the new dynamic between us. For the rest of the week, I came in every day. Laura gave me a top-notch massage, better than any spa, and for free. She smiled slyly and said, "I don't charge you," and I praised her skill. I had met women her age before, but Laura was different, full of vitality, with a presence that mesmerized me. On the 3rd day, things took an unexpected turn. While working on my back, Laura began to talk more about her life. She told me stories from her youth, how she lived before Emily was born, and the hobbies she had to give up to raise a family. It was strange to hear such personal details from her. Laura had always seemed so strict and reserved. Now she seemed like a real person, with vulnerabilities and dreams of her own. I listened intently, genuinely interested. It seemed to me that we were making a connection beyond the massage, and that made all the difference. One evening, after our usual session, Laura invited me to stay for dinner. Emily was working late, and Laura said she could use the company. I hesitated, but something in her eyes made me agree. She made pasta, and we shared a meal, laughing and talking like we'd been close for years. She even poured us both some wine, which I thought was a little strange, but I agreed. The wine loosened us both up, and soon we were talking about everything: my job, her pension, even the tension that had once existed between us. Laura admitted that she had judged me too harshly before, and I confessed that I hadn't made much effort to get to know her better. It felt good to clear the air. On the fourth day during our session, Laura took her time with the massage, working each muscle group with such care that it was almost affectionate. Her hands lingered on my shoulders and she gently ran her fingers down my spine, eliciting goosebumps. I knew something was going on between us, something beyond the physical relief of my back pain. There was an unspoken understanding between us, a closeness that I hadn't realized was there. After the massage, we sat on the couch and had another glass of lemonade. Laura looked at me and said, "You know, this is different, isn't it?" I nodded, not knowing what to say. She reached out and put her hand on mine. We sat in silence. Her hand was warm, and I could feel my heart pounding. It was a mixture of excitement and fear. What are we doing? On the fifth day, Laura met me at the door with a hug. It felt natural, although until a week ago I would never have thought we would be hugging. She whispered in my ear, "I'm glad you came." I knew she meant more than just the massage. During the session, she worked my muscles as usual, but there was a tenderness to it, a caring that went beyond just a professional touch. When she asked me to turn over, she looked at me with a warmth that was impossible to ignore. She leaned over and gently kissed me. It was gentle, almost hesitant, but I kissed her back. For a moment, it seemed like the world around me disappeared. There was no Emily, no household chores, just the two of us. Throughout the rest of the week, this new routine continued. Each day, Laura and I grew closer, not only physically, but emotionally as well. She told me about her fears of growing old alone, about sometimes feeling unappreciated despite all she does for her family. I listened to her and talked more and more about my insecurities, about not being good enough for Emily, about how my work had stalled. It felt like we had become each other's confidants. On the last day of the week, she said, "This should be enough, but I will add you to my client list for regular sessions." I was stunned and excited. Not only was the massage free, but it was ongoing. When I got home, Emily asked, "Why are you so cheerful?" "My back doesn't hurt anymore," I said, and she nodded satisfied. I didn't mention that I would continue to date Laura. She didn't need to know. Some things were better left unsaid. The less she knew, the better for all of us. As I left that day, Laura and I exchanged a look that said more than words could. That look promised that there was more to come, and I knew our classes were far from over. Whatever it was just beginning.